Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study and our brand new book, studying a book, the book of Proverbs, and I'm titling this Wisdom and Common Sense. The book of Proverbs, Wisdom and Common Sense. Now, the book of Proverbs, of course, is without a doubt has some titles in it or verbiage in it, nouns, I should say, that accurately describes it. Talking about the book of wisdom, the book of knowledge, for more wisdom. I'm going to explain that in a moment. Being prudent, being wise. But it also contrasts being wise with being foolish or being a fool or being stupid. And so as we go through the book of Proverbs, then this is the contrast that we're going to see. That one, we're talking about what is wise versus what is wisdom, okay? And I think it's important to understand that here. Okay, I'm gonna adjust my tint here. Something is wrong off here. All right, let's go with that. So the first thing I want to do is let's define terms, okay? Now, so I'm gonna probably spend most of this in dealing with defining terms. So let me do this. Let me go to the book of Proverbs itself, and let's start off. So let's look at. Uh, all right. So which one do I want to go to though? All right. The Holman Christian Standard Bible. Um, no, let me do this. I'm gonna do something a little different here. Excuse me. I'm going to use the English Standard translation. Let's try that. Let me just say about translations. I don't. There are some. I like the Holman Christian Standard Translation. Um, most translations, as far as when you read them, for me as a non-scholar, okay, as a non-scholar, meaning I haven't studied Greek, Hebrew. I'm not a theologian in the sense of translating scriptures and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't done that. I benefit from those, put the hard work in. And thus we have these translations. And if you have a Bible app, and this is what I'm using here, what you see, you can't see it from this standpoint, but my desktop computer, but you can have them on, if you got Bible app on your phone, Bible app on your iPads, whatever, right? Then they have pretty much almost the same, okay? Um, so this is Biblia, and but I also have Bible Gateway, Bible Apps. Some of these, so you can kind of see just a couple of them right there. This app, and then to the left, I'm looking at the left for y'all. So I have these couple of apps here, three here: the English Bible app, Bible Gateway. Now, so then of course there is the age-old King James Bible. The 1611 speaks in English 1611, so that's probably the biggest objection to that. There are those that would say that the King James is, excuse me, inspired just as the translations. Yeah, we're not going to get into that. But I think it is also too. Let me capitalize on that. Let me talk about that for a moment too. So when we talk about translations, so the original letters, the Bible is a collection of 66 books. Over time, they were collected, authenticized, and then said, okay, these are the inspired books. Is it possible that we have more than 66 books? Yes, it's possible if you find them, but they will also undergo a rigorous test to determine if they are indeed inspired letters. There are many writings out there that claim to be, but when you put them under the test, the theological test, they fail. All right, so it's possible. The, the Bible lists certain books and letters that we just don't have today. So, is it possible that if we find those letters, yes, they can be authenticized as like the writings of Paul, Old Testament writings? They would go under the criteria that they have to meet. And in most of all, they will meet the revelation. In other words, do they communicate the same revelation that the other books communicate? The sovereignty of God, the lordship of Jesus Christ, on and on and on and on. Okay. So the Old Testament is written primarily in Hebrew language, the Hebrew language. The New Testament is primarily written in Greek. Now, what does that mean to us who do not know either language? It all comes down to how good the translations are. Now, as you can look here, let me pull up this here. Okay, so all of these are, if you can see that little box, different translations that this Bible app offer. Now, I can tell you that they pretty much communicate the same revelation. Okay, now some people have issues with how something is translated, and like here, if you look at the Holman Christian Standard versus, so on the right is the Holman Christian Standard, and I mean on your left it's the Holman Christian Standard, and then on your right is the English Standard Translation. So just as an example, one says the Proverb of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for learning what wisdom and discipline are. Now look to the right, to the English Standard, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand the words of insight. So they are translated differently. However, they say the same thing. And sometimes if you have an issue with one or the other, okay, God bless you, fine. My point is that reading either one of these, okay, you're still going to walk away with the same understanding what is being communicated. So I want to take a so when we talk about now the book of Proverbs, we're going to be mostly dealing with the Hebrew word of wisdom and knowledge. But even more than that, there's a couple of ways you can define excuse me, you can define words, and one is from a dictionary. So let me show you this. So this is the dictionary.com, okay? And again, there's not too much different in Britannica or any other Webster, things like that dictionary, right? So look at the word fool, for example. And the word fool is going to come up in the Proverbs a lot. Because wisdom is going to be contrast to the fool, with a fool. So notice what it says right here. A fool is a silly or stupid person, a person who lacks judgment or sense. Okay, so that first word is probably going to be close to the Hebrew word. Now, when I go to the Hebrew word, again, when we talk about translations, when translator says, here is the Hebrew word. So now we have to choose an English word. So because we speak English, we're in the English-speaking world. So I don't know what Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Japanese. Okay, so our concern mostly is um, what does the English word or counterpart. So when they say fool, the word fool doesn't appear in Hebrew. And the reason why is because there's another word, and you have to understand Hebrew to understand that. So the translator said, okay, we're going to choose this definition, this English word fool, to convey the Hebrew thought. So a silly or stupid person, a person who lacks judgment or a sense. Now we're not going to deal with the Greek definitions of wisdom. There is that application because of Greek philosophy. And basically, Greek philosophy, basically, they kind of sit around and they ponder things, contemplate, talk about, debate, different things, Why does the sun rise in the east, right? And um, why do people do this? And I'm not even criticizing that. I'm saying, but that's kind of the Greek wisdom, and you can even say the kind of high and lofty Greek wisdom. Okay, and it's not important to us. In fact, when we talk about the Greek language, and you hear a lot of people talk about Greek language, the Greek. Well, that Greek is Koine Greek, which is the common man. In other words, when God inspired the New Testament writings, he did not choose the language of the high and lofty. Today what we may consider the educated, but as far as the language is concerned, it was the common language. He didn't choose the uneducated language, Ebonics or something like that. But Koine Greek is the common man's language. So in other words, God, in his wisdom, chose the common language. Okay? So Jesus, who was the wisest person, did not speak in the high and lofty Greek. He didn't sit around, sometimes people love to speak in their high educated. In other words, to let you know how educated they are. Funny thing is that there was a person who I unpacked his definition of Calvinism, and one of the things he kind of cut back at me was, I'm not a person who doesn't know, and it was a Greek term for the image of God, demigodi or something like that, and it was the term, for the image of God. And you go, well, I'm not going to waste my time with somebody who don't know that. Now he's not a Greek scholar either, by the way, but anyway, he just felt so emboldened enough to say that. Now, okay, God bless you, brother. But my response, my other response is that, okay, if you think that is and if you want to think that makes you, even wiser, God bless you. But God did not speak in high and lofty language. And that's why on my thumbnail I said Proverbs, wisdom and common sense. And when Jesus spoke, he spoke in sometimes the most profound wisdom, but he didn't use the language and the phrases of the high and lofty, but yet it stung, right? It was profound. And so that's all right. So let me show you some other couple of words here. Now, fool is going to be contrast to. Let's see if I can bring this up here. This is running slow. Wisdom. All right, here's one for wisdom. Okay. Now, the Greek word for wisdom is Sophia, which is one of my granddaughter's name, Sophia. But notice it says here the quality of being wise, knowledge of what is true or right, coupled with just judgment as to actions. Let me do this again. Do this again. The quality or state of being wise, knowledge of what is true, right, coupled with just judgments as to actions, uh, sagacity, discernment, or insight. Let me read this again too. I'm gonna go back to fool because I don't know if I like to, so that y'all can read along with me here. This is, I read this. Let me read it again. Now, this is the word fool. A silly or stupid person, a person who lacks judgment or common sense. And I'm gonna get more into that later. But let me go. That's wise. That's wisdom. Oh, wait a minute. Where you at? Wisdom? Yes. Okay. All right. So let's see. This I wanted just wise. Okay, here it is. Wise, having the power of discernment, having the power of discerning and judging properly as to what is true or right, possessing discernment, judgment, or discretion. Now, let me read this here. All right, here we go. Now, I want to read. Let me stick true to my Holman Christian Standard Bible. All right, here we go. Now, I want to read this, and then we'll come back to this. It says, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, for learning what wisdom and discipline are, for understanding insightful sayings, for receiving wise instructions, in righteousness, justice, and integrity, for teaching shrewdness to the inexperienced, knowledge and discretion to the young man. Then it says, verse 5, a wise man will listen and increase his learning, and a discerning man will obtain guidance for understanding a proverb or a parable, the words of the wise and their riddles. And then verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and knowledge. So right off, we see the contrast. This would be the contrast throughout the entire book of Proverbs. What is wise and then what is foolish. So he says, so this is kind of what Proverbs is right here. Again, learning wisdom. So let me give you another definition of or application of wisdom here. So wisdom is you could say wisdom is the application of knowledge. Now, I just read all those definitions. So wisdom is the definition of knowledge, and meaning this. Let's say I can say I need to get to the North Pole. I'm just being silly right here, North Pole. What is the best way to do that? So that would be wisdom. Knowledge is I have to get to the North Pole, but wisdom would be what is the best way to get there? In other words, I can walk, I can drive, train. Well, train may say the train doesn't go to the North Pole. But then also, well, you're going to need clothing because it's cold up there. I mean, all those factors, see, wisdom would say, what is the best way to get there? So when you contrast in wisdom and then foolish, a fool may just foolishly go out and leave from 80-degree weather than shorts and then end up in the North Pole freezing because he wasn't wise. Now, he had knowledge, but he wasn't wise. But again, so wisdom is the best way. Now, a fool is a person. A fool, as Proverbs is going to use, a fool is a person that doesn't believe in God. A fool is a person that doesn't obey God or believe God, meaning here's the right way to go. And then a fool is a person that doesn't obey God. And we're going to see this as we unpack Proverbs. Okay, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below all comments. So welcome. I'll see you in the next study.